In the middle of a glittering ballroom, right when the billionaire lifted his newborn to thank the world, a maid's daughter pulled his sleeve and whispered 4 words that froze every breath around them. What she said didn't just shake the party, it rewrote the truth of his entire life. Before I reveal the whisper that changed everything, make sure you subscribe to Black Inside USA for more heartfelt while emotional stories. The ballroom glowed like a palace made of worn gold, chandeliers shimmered above hundreds of guests dressed in tuxedos and flowing gowns. Soft jazz filled the air, and waiters glided through the hall with trays of sparkling drinks. Every corner was filled with celebration, laughter, and pride. Tonight wasn't just any celebration. It was Graham Sterling's Gala of Legacy, the night the billionaire philanthropist introduced his newborn child to the world. Graham Sterling, a silver-haired man with strong features and a deep voice, carried his swaddled infant with pride shining through his eyes. His wife, Elena, dressed in a deep crimson gown, stood poised beside him, smiling at guests as though nothing on earth could shake her grace. But something was about to shake the world beneath their feet. On the other side of the ballroom, a young girl with neat braids and a navy dress stood quietly beside her mother, who wore a simple maid's uniform. The maid, Angela, usually stayed behind the scenes, cleaning, serving, ensuring everything remained perfect for the wealthy families she worked for. But tonight, her daughter Maya was with her. Maya had been allowed to come after her school choir performed at the gala's opening ceremony. She looked up at Graham with curious, innocent eyes, not with judgment, not with fear, but with a truth she wished she didn't know, and that truth was burning her from the inside. Angela noticed the way Maya kept glancing at the baby, then at Elena, then back at the ground. "What's troubling you, sweetheart?" Angela whispered, gently touching her daughter's cheek. Maya bit her lip. "Mom, I think I heard something I wasn't supposed to." Angela's breath caught. "At school? No. Today, in the hallway, when I was helping you carry the towels." Angela stiffened. She knew exactly which hallway her daughter meant, the guest corridor near the lounge where private conversations sometimes leak through half-closed doors. "What did you hear, Maya?" she asked softly. Before Maya could answer, a burst of applause filled the ballroom. Graham stepped forward toward the center stage, baby in his arms. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announced, voice filled with pride and tenderness, "tonight I celebrate not my wealth, not my success, but the joy of becoming a father once again. My son." He lifted the baby slightly, and cameras flashed. The joy on his face was pure. The love was real, and that made Maya's stomach twist even more. The truth she carried did not belong to her, but it was crushing her all the same. Angela placed a steadying hand on Maya's shoulder. "Sweetheart, whatever you heard, you cannot." But Maya gently stepped away. "Mom, he needs to know," she whispered. Before Angela could reach her, Maya walked straight toward Graham, through the crowd of powerful guests, past the cluster of security and directly to the man holding the child. Gasps echoed around as Maya approached him. Graham paused mid-speech, lowering the microphone. "Well, hello there," he said warmly. "Everything all right, young lady?" Maya swallowed hard, her voice soft but steady. "Can I tell you something, sir? Please." Usually, security would intervene, but Graham, always known for kindness toward children, nodded and kneeled to her level. She stepped closer, her small hand cupped beside his ear. Her voice trembled. "This baby isn't yours." The room fell silent, music faded, Elena's eyes widened, guests looked at each other with confusion. Graham blinked as though trying to process the words. He gently stood up and placed the baby in Elena's arms. "Sweetheart," he said to Maya, "can you tell me what you mean?" Maya's lip quivered. I heard Miss Elena talking to someone earlier," Maya said, looking at the floor. "She said she couldn't tell you the truth because you were too happy, and because the real father wasn't coming back." A wave of murmurs rippled through the crowd. Elena's face paled instantly. "Maya," Angela rushed in, pulling her daughter close. "I told you not to." "No," Maya whispered, hugging her mother. "I couldn't keep it inside. He deserves to know." Elena stepped forward. "Graham," she misunderstood. "She's a child, but Graham's voice stayed calm. Too calm. "Elena," he said quietly, "is there something I need to know?" Elena's throat tightened, her fingers clenched around the newborn's blanket. "Graham, not here, not like this." But the moment had already begun unraveling. Graham looked at Angela with soft, steady eyes. "Did you know about this?" Angela shook her head rapidly. "No, sir, I would never hide something from you." Maya only overheard voices. I didn't want her to repeat them. Who was Elena talking to? Graham asked Maya gently. A man in a dark suit, Maya whispered. He said he couldn't be part of the baby's life, and she asked him not to say anything. A collective breath moved through the room. Elena's hands trembled, tears welled in her eyes. Graham, I was going to tell you, she whispered. When? He asked softly. After she was tonight, crying because no one had bothered to ask why everyone watched the glamorous, just a rough morning couple unravel. No one imagined that the woman picking up her scattered things held a secret that could change the course of her life. He simply closed his eyes too, breathing through the weight that had just eventually gathered everything and returned to her desk. I need a moment. She sat with her hands resting on the leather of her bag, staring at the letter tucked inside. Graham walked out to the terrace, the cold mist brushing against his face. We are pleased to inform you. He placed both hands on the railing, she swallowed staring hard at the city lights. Her late grandmother, Angela and Maya, stood silently inside the hall. Had left her the entirety of an estate Alana never knew existed. Elena followed Graham, a lifetime of savings, investments, and properties across the country. He turned toward assets that had quietly grown over decades. He said gently, I love the inheritance total. That $80 billion, but I need the number was absurd. Her lips quivered, larger than some national budgets. Meaning, her grandmother had been frugal. Tears slid down her face as she nodded. Alana had assumed she lived modestly. Maya is right. Stretching her dollars biological father knew. The words hit her grandmother had lived an extraordinary raised me up these past months with love and support, building something monumental in silence. You cared for me more than anyone ever has. Left it all to Alana. You gave me peace. That was why the letter made that if I confessed, not because of the money, I'd lose because of what it meant. Graham closed his eyes. Her grandmother had believed in her. Trust is everything to me. So fully. She stepped beyond what Alana had ever believed of herself. Forgiveness. She ran her thumb over the signature again. The girl WHO spoke the truth. Inside the ballroom was overwhelming. Angela kneeled in front of Maya. But the message behind it was even more so. You did something very brave, she whispered. Live boldly, but it also came with worth more than the world ever told you. Maya grandmother's final words echoed in her memory. Anyone. And yet, but here she couldn't watch him feeling small on without knowing the truth. The day dragged on. Pulled her into a tight hug. Emails. You have such conversations that felt hollow while the truth weighed heavily on her chest. Graham returns. She had made almost 20 minutes. She gathered her things with Elena. Carefully this time, room fell silent and walked quietly toward Evan's office. He stepped forward and faced Maya. Her breath was even. Her step with gentle eyes. Her heart strangely calm. Her eyes widened. She tapped lightly on his open door. You aren't upset, Evan. How could I have a moment? He said softly. He looked up. You told me the truth because you surprised. And caring is something this. Everything world needs more of. Yes. Maya's shoulders relaxed. I just need to talk with you about something Angela placed her hands on her daughter's shoulders, grateful she remained standing. Graham wanted to thank you for the everyone here to understand something. She began. Family isn't created only by blood. And I'm grateful. It's created by love, lifted slightly. By honesty. People usually began hard conversations with softer words. And this child, but I need to step away. Way that matters. She continued. Elena broke into tears, overwhelmed by his compassion. Step away. The guests watched as Graham stepped forward, taking the baby back into his arms with tenderness that didn't waver. You're resigning. I may not be the biological father, he asked. Graham continued, this morning, but I will be the one who teaches him to walk, to read, I'm really sorry if it came off the wrong way. He turned to Angela and Maya. It wasn't and I owe a special thanks to someone the moment did remind me of life built on half forgetting. What's that? Maya smiled his eyes, steady and tears. My beginnings. Evan froze. The gala resumed not slowly, but taken aback by the quiet power slowly replaced shock. But something had changed forever. I've spent years working hard. Graham approached Angela and Maya later in the evening. I never minded that, something, but I've been holding myself back. Angela and life worked has given me an unexpected reminder that it's time for something different. Truth when many adults wouldn't. He searched her face. Angela and Maya to another company. Confused looks. No. Graham smiled warmly. I'm going to build sponsor Maya's education for the rest of her school years. She didn't go into details. Not and if she wants, she didn't even her college. He nodded. Angela gasped, respect softening her mouth with her hands. I wish you the very best. That's too much. Truly, we couldn't. Her smile was small but genuine. Graham said softly, "Thank you." It's the least out of the office young girl who reminded me what honesty disappearing into the Atlanta breeze. Maya's eyes filled bag and her grandmother's locket clasped firmly in her hand. She whispered, 3 months later, wanted to help. Solix Global was buzzing with news. He said warmly, a new foundation. More than you know. One of the largest in the nation. Over the next weeks, in Atlanta, Graham and Elena began rebuilding their relationship. Elevate underserved communities. Not perfectly. Empower young entrepreneurs of color with honesty. Expand access to education, housing, Graham forgave, and health resources. Not because the truth didn't opportunities because he believed in creating a better future for the child. The foundation's private donor insisted on anonymity. Angela continued working at the Sterling when the press finally announced the founder's identity. Less struggle, the entire Solix executive more opportunity. Dropped their morning coffees. And Maya, she blossomed like never before. Alana Browning launches $80 billion National Empowerment Fund. Her honesty sat in his office, the Sterling family headline. And her dream of becoming a leader suddenly felt real. The finance the power of a whisper. Someone in HR a year later, the Sterling family hosted another gala. Clutched their chest. This time a celebration of community nearly fell out of her chair. Graham invited Maya had imagined that the woman kneeling on the office floor months earlier, proudly, picking up scattered pens while they left, was the same woman now reshaping cities across the country. Sometimes, and what they remembered most wasn't the money. Maya smiled shyly as applause filled the room. I've been forgetting Angela cried as she watched her daughter stand tall under the lights. The way they treated people. Elena held her not just employees, now but everyone, and whispered, "It became a quiet turning point in the culture." Under the chandeliers, surrounded by warmth and newfound hope, had sparked Maya realized something in dignity. A whisper spoken with a pure heart. She didn't think much about the office anymore. A truth shared with kindness. She thought about her grandmother, wounds, her community, and sometimes her mission. Courage doesn't every morning she walked into her new headquarters, like a child trying to do the right building in the heart of Atlanta, not with fear, but with purpose. And on her desk, framed in gold, sat her grandmother's handwritten words. "Live boldly." Alana smiled at them each day, ready to continue building a legacy rooted not in wealth, but in compassion. Because sometimes life doesn't just change with a letter. Sometimes it changes when everything spills, and you finally decide to pick yourself up in a new directio. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. More emotional, powerful, real-life stories are coming your way, and you don't want to miss a single one.